Oh man, this laptop. All right. Yeah, that camera sucks. Okay. Oh, so whoa, that is loud. What is going on here? Hmm. Welcome to the collapse experiment. It has been a while since I have done a live stream, so it's almost like doing this for the first time all over again. Maybe I should try moving this. Maybe the sound will be better. Anyways, the only reason I scheduled this thing at the last minute was because several reasons. One, I'm supposed to be laid off tonight again. Today's Wednesday. I didn't work Monday. I didn't work Tuesday. And then I got a message that I was in the layoff group for tonight, which not cool. Not a great live title. Are you good? Well, come to find out, I guess I am working tonight, but I go in at 6, which is kind of weird. And some of us have been chatting over text as to what the hell's going on at work. And we're just under the impression they're now trying to shove people out the door on their own accord, I guess, because union contracts, they can't really fire people. They just have to make it excruciating enough to get them to leave. So that is where I'm at. That's what's happening tonight. Apparently, I am working just later than usual. I don't know what that means. Some of the things I saw in town today tell me that they may have laid off more drivers, which would mean that it'd be drivers that have more seniority than me that can come in and bump me off my shift if they like. So anyways, more positive news. I am partially monetized on here now, which feels kind of weird. It's been, God, when did I start this channel? I want to say it was 2013 was when I started my YouTube channel, and so that's 12 years and brutal enough. Hi there. All right, yay. Got 4 people in here now. I think that might be some of the highest number I've had for a live feed for a while. So yeah, monetized. Got the memberships, which there's 2-tier memberships. One is just supporting the channel, and you get your chat highlighted. I'll basically not call you out, shout out. Shout out sounds better, right? Greetings from Austria. Oh shoot, Austria? Seriously? Like where Arnold's from, and last I heard, currently living. That's pretty amazing. So there's the 2-tier membership. The second one is you get all of the what I had to turn into private videos. Members only videos. That's the second tier, plus all the features from the first one. I am planning on doing more tobacco reviews. It is something that I stopped doing a while ago. I haven't really been smoking my pipe lately. Pipes, I have well over 100 pipes. I should probably do a video just showing my pipes, and that would have to be on the members only because, man, even after I moved stuff over to members only status, they were still like, this has got to be 18 plus. And I'm like, it's 18 plus anyways to be a member. So I don't understand what the problem is here, but okay, YouTube. I will not pay for any YouTube channel. Sorry. That's okay. You know, I'm not not hurting my feelings. I'm kind of strict on that too. Like there was 1 or 2 that I followed in the past, and people just didn't really keep up with it. So how many you got? Brutal. Yeah. pipes. That's just pipes. Um, I've picked up a lot of tobacco, pipe tobacco at estate sales, believe it or not, sealed, properly stored away for dirt cheap, which means it's also aged. Um, yeah, I've got some, man, what it was the Oriental, English Oriental. I have a ton of that, like literally pounds of English Oriental that I am slowly working through, and I understand why this old guy bought it because it's pretty darn good. Wait, laid off again? Actually, no, the status changed like just before I went live. But I was off Monday and Tuesday. So when they sent it out today, I'm like, okay, are they trying to get me to lose my insurance? Because the way the union contract works with where I work, I have to have at least 1 hour per week in order to keep my insurance. Although corporate, who apparently doesn't believe in the union contract that they agree to, is trying to say you have to work at least 3 days a week in order to keep your part-time status or your insurance, or they just want to be sued. I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense. Whoever gave the thumbs up, thank you very much. Uh, come and count them. Chill. Yeah. What else do we have going on over here? Why should one pay for pipe content? There are thousands out there for free. It's because if I don't have it in a membership status, then I get axed from YouTube. I cannot be monetized at all if I have that as a public uh, video. So I figured I would just build up my tobacco reviews and have a nice catalog to offer. And if you don't want to, you don't have to. That's just how it is. Hey, are you late? Raymond is watching my videos. That just feels very meta. I was just watching his stuff this morning. Currently not laid off. I know it's weird with live videos. I feel like I'm just repeating myself to the people that have been here, been subscribed for a while. Yes, I realize that you're always on there as like a recent subscriber, which is hilarious because that was like 100 subs ago. But for some reason, YouTube really likes you. I understand why YouTube really likes you because I like you. So, oh, good to know. I got nervous out there. Yeah. Um, when I got the text, I was just kind of like, what the hell's going on? Also considering Friday. Friday, they had a union meeting where our absolutely useless union rep was like, oh, I have news. It's not much. We'll have more on Monday. I wasn't there Monday. I wasn't there Tuesday. I have no idea what the hell's going on at work because nobody tells anybody anything. There's zero communication. We don't have email. Nobody sends out a text except for whether or not you're working. So I don't know. 6 o'clock, I could go in and get some bad news. Who knows? I don't really know what they're doing at this point. There was one theory that the company is trying to downsize to the point where it would be a great purchase for someone like, this was a bad example, but he said it, Elon Musk to buy. And I'm like, why would he want to get into a distribution company when it has nothing to do with his other stuff? And then I realized, well, Amazon is really pushing to deliver their own goods. So if you already have the system in place, the trucks, the facilities, and you just go to Amazon and say, hey, you're not contracting through us anymore, but for X amount of dollars, you can have us, which is kind of where I'm leaning. I think they're trying to make a bid for Amazon to just outright buy them, which would be really sad. Let's see here. Your CEO literally said that red flag, walk away, run, run, run. Not the CEO. That was my shift supervisor. That was his idea. He's just like, writings on the wall. I saw this in so many restaurants that I worked at. Uh, yeah, when you're trying to sell your company, you want to make it as appealing as possible. And I have a feeling what they're doing is they're trying to get the number of employees down because of the union to make it so that, which Amazon's good at busting up unions anyways. But the problem is with Michigan in particular, like you can't bust a union here. It's just the new laws that they put in, you cannot opt out of being in a union in Michigan anymore. So once the union is in place, like you buy the company, you're stuck with those employees and the contract and all that good stuff. Good to come across your live. Woohoo. Tunnel take. It's like my boss said, it's not our strategy to have less people, but doesn't that mean that you talked about it? Everybody knows what's going on. They do. Like there's there's one case in particular where it was just it was that sweet karma where you're just like, this is too good. One of the drivers who I cannot stand, he's horrible at his job. The only reason he's still there is that he's just a major spreading the cheeks, getting in there with just anybody. And we knew about this like months ago. Like there was rumors coming. I was finding articles about the company downsizing over on the West Coast. That might give you a clue as to who this is. Where they shut down the smaller facilities and they condense everything into the larger ones, which they also automate and they get rid of the warehouse staff. And so I was like, oh, this is coming here. And I was talking to people about it, and they're just giving me this look like, what are you talking about? And then this bullshit starts, like right after the holiday season. Anyways, this guy, he had to have heard the same stuff I was hearing. Takes his family to Disney. They go down to Florida, they go to Disney, and he comes back to find out that he's laid off. And he's like, I spent all my goddamn money and I find out I ain't got no job when I come back. And I'm like, you didn't see this coming. You weren't paying attention at all. So now he's in a situation where he goes in at 3 a.m. He bumps somebody off of the loading shift where they load all the trucks up in the morning. Now he's picked up a second job where he works 9 to 5 during the day. And after he gets out of that job at 5, he comes to our facility to see if he can bump into a shift for 3 more hours so that he can make similar pay to what he was getting as a driver beforehand, before being laid off. And he's like, no, all I hear is you're never home and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why can't you just tell them, hey, you're happy you went to Disney, right? Shut up. But no, he's just, this is all he does. He works our shift and meanwhile we're sitting there like, hey dude, we're waiting on you. Like you either start working or we don't have shit to do. We're all going to get yelled at. You're not going to get yelled at because everybody freaking loves you for some horrible god awful reason around here. But just knowing that he's flat ass broke and he's working like 16-hour days because he's a dumbass. And we all know that he's a dumbass. That just kind of made me feel good inside. Does that make me a bad person? He screwed me over so many times. So I don't feel bad about it. Oh, you're in Michigan. Heaven help you. Yeah. Tell me about it. And there's, I don't want to ruin your day, Raymond, but there's talk of Whitmer being the 2028 Democrat candidate. So considering what she's done to our state, I really don't want to be in a position where that's even an option for the rest of the country. Because it would be if Biden was 9/11, it's like Team America. That'd be 1,000 9/11s. I get laid off when I come down with a bad cold. Yeah, that was me a couple weeks ago. Last time I took a proper holiday, I was laid off for 1 month. Laid off 1 month later. Yeah, I've never experienced this before. And I've worked for two other unions in the past. One was Meyer, which was absolutely useless. Just, I don't understand what the purpose of the union at Meyer was. This was 96 to 98. And I started out at 4.15 an hour. And then when I left there, I was only making, I think it was like 5.25 an hour after 2 years, 2 years of working there. But that had to do with the minimum wage, which I was like, hey, if the union isn't really promoting better wages, then why is part of my check going to them? Never understood it. Self-employed isn't everything. Isn't everything believe? I'm guessing you're saying that self-employment isn't everything that you believe it is. Okay. So yeah, back to the Meyer union. There's one time I got in trouble and was taken into the office, and I'm sitting there, and the manager comes in, and he's like, "All right, we're going to talk about this." And I was like, "I would like my union rep." And he just sits down in the chair and is like, "No, there isn't one present, and we're just going to move ahead anyways." And I'm like, I really want my money back. Like, what is this bullshit? I'm supposed to have union protection. I don't understand what's going on. So yeah, Myers Union, absolutely worthless. Like, no point in having it whatsoever. And then, oh God, the second one, also useless, was Kalamazoo County, where I worked. And the funny thing was, I never was approached by a union rep. This was when it was optional. And the union rep's supposed to come to you within a certain period of time and try to sell you on why it's a good idea to join and the protection and blah, blah, blah. Never saw one. I worked for them for 2 years, never saw a union rep, which also meant no money came out of my check. So, whereas where I'm working now, I signed up for the union 3 years ago. And it wasn't until the state of Michigan made it mandatory to be in a union where there's one present in your workplace that they found out my paperwork, along with a couple of other people's paperwork, was never turned in, which also meant the union rep didn't have to represent us when something happened. He didn't have to file a grievance. It was a complete, total shit show. And there were at least 3 times I can think of where I went to the union rep, which I had a grievance. I had a legitimate grievance as to something that was going on, and he just brushed it under the rug because he knew he didn't turn in the paperwork and he could get away with that. So I've never had luck with unions. Actually, no, there was the fourth job too, the other library I worked at. And they were depended on who was representing you. I had one guy in particular who was absolutely worthless, just sat there, didn't want to participate. I don't know why he was there. And then there was a couple of other ones that, they were putting their foot down, but for some reason HR was ignoring them as well. So what else do we have going on in the chat? Over here, unions just exist for their own good, not the workers. Nope, true story. True story. And as of right now, I'm part of the UAW. I believe it's the UAW. And remember when they were going on strike at the ports, and you had the one union president that he had like a $500,000 house for no reason. It was like, why is he paid that much? And obviously it's from the union dues. He's not covering anybody else's bills if they go on strike. So never understood it. I don't understand overall, like, why we have unions anymore anyways. And I've never been in a position where if I'm applying or interviewing for a job where there's any type of negotiation for hourly wages. They just say, well, if you accept the job, here's what you're going to get paid. And it's like, there's no back and forth. There's no negotiating. It's no different than if you were working for a union. That's just how it is for any job that I've ever had. So anyways, enough about the whole job situation. There was one thing that came up earlier, and it was this post, and it had to do with a honor deletion of somebody overseas, and it was just these posts bugged the crap out of me because I know who posts them. And they're the same people that if you talk against this culture that does this, then you're an Islamophobe. But then it's like this happens and they're like, oh, women's rights. And it's like, you don't understand what exactly it is you're supporting or protesting, do you? Because it's all the same thing. So me being as freaking jaded as I am, right? I made one comment and said, at least she won't divorce her husband and ruin his life for shits and giggles. Because I understand that what happened was the extreme in that culture. Unfortunately, that's actually quite normal depending on what country. It's not like they report this to the UN or anything, right? This stuff happens there all the time. But now they're just doing this normal behavior out in the West. And looks like a bunch of people deleted their comments. So then somebody else jumped in. I'm pretty sure they either like blocked me or just deleted their comments. But I responded with both extremes, Western and whatever the hell this story is, are too much. And then somebody else replied, I get to what you're saying, but can you see that finding a positive in this is by assuming that she would do that for giggles is extreme as well? Their problem, her family's problem with this girl is that she was westernizing, which Western women, masculinity needs to be more mainstream, but understanding crap people exist and knowing what to look out for when they walk away is part of that. There's a lot of comments in here that were deleted. They're not showing everything for some reason. But in the West, the main problem is divorce is instigated by the woman. What, like 9 times out of 10, she files. Encouraged by friends, believes that she's going to profit from the situation. The courts are always in her favor. Always. Even in Michigan, where it's no fault divorce, right? But for some reason, even though justice is blind, which means there shouldn't be a male or female side to the equation, it should just be balancing the justice in the system, right? I mean, if the courts are going to come in and say, like, they're going to dictate as to how a couple's divorce takes place, which I don't understand why they have any say to begin with. I worked with one guy at the hospital that he was a vet. Him and his wife had 6 kids. He was in Iraq. He was actually one of the personal guards for Saddam Hussein when they did catch him. And I asked him about that, and he was like, oh, he's always preaching about Islam and the Quran and trying to get guys to read the Quran. And like he was trying to save his ass for the afterlife type thing. But this guy, him and his wife, they were getting divorced. They go to a mediator, somebody you sit down with. They both come to an agreement as to how they want to do this. Like, is it 50-50? What is the child support? What is this? What is that? Well, she made a ton more money than he did. So she was like, I don't need the child support. I don't. And he doesn't make enough. Like, he wouldn't be able to survive. He needs to have a place where they can come visit him. So there was actually some civil conversation in this divorce as to how things were to be split. They go before the judge to get everything finalized. He looks over the agreement and says, oh, what's this? He's not paying child support? That's not right. And he starts writing on there like he's going to pay this amount. This is how much it's going to be. If he doesn't do this, blah, 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 jail time, yada, yada, yada. And the dude's just sitting there like, what is happening? Like, this isn't what we agreed to. And the weird thing is, she didn't agree to it either. And she was arguing with the judge that she does not want the child support. And he's like, no, 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 you're getting this because that's what the law says. Why? Like, who's being harmed here? Where's the crime? It didn't make any sense to me. It didn't make any sense to nobody in the room except for the judge. Did this make any sense? And so this guy, who's a greeter at the hospital, which is like $12 an hour, is now paying child support on 6 kids when he can't afford it. So there's no fairness in the system. And as long as women are going to make it so that divorce is the ultimate outcome of marriage, yeah, you're going to have less guys willing to get married, for one. Like, why? Either way, they're paying child support. There's no difference. It's like he gets to keep all of his stuff and lose part of his paycheck, or he can lose half his shit plus part of his paycheck. Either way, it's like, it's just cheaper not to. But then over there, it's like, oh, you want to be westernized? And then there's the horrible stuff that happens. And I've been seeing a lot of these videos about the passport bros. Not really my thing. Like, you go over there, you could be breaking a law not knowing it. Next thing you know, you're sitting in a jail cell, and it's like, I didn't know I couldn't do that. So things like that, kind of, it doesn't seem appealing. But what I have been hearing is the fact that a lot of these guys that go over there, they do end up getting married, or they have these long-term girlfriends. And what they're saying is that it's the social circle and the family that really keeps the monogamy going, where she sticks around, and it's not her decision. It's not, I have options. It's because she's held accountable to her family and her friends, where this type of behavior doesn't happen. And these guys are talking about, as soon as they bring this new wife, girlfriend, whatever, to the States, all of a sudden she's gone. There's nobody to tell her no. There's no leash to pull on, if you will. And so there's something wrong with our culture, where this whole idea of like splitting up the family. Grandpa doesn't come live with anybody. He goes to a retirement home. He has no say in what's happening in family affairs. I remember growing up, when I was really little, my great grandpa, he would have these annual get-togethers with the family. And there were like cousins and second cousins, like all these people I'd never seen before getting together. And there's this big party at his house. And I was like 8 or 9 years old when he died of cancer. And that was when all of that stopped. And it just doesn't happen anymore. The only thing that does happen is somebody dies, everybody goes to the funeral, some argument or fight happens between certain people, everybody takes a side, nobody talks to each other until the next funeral. Because even when people get married, like, it's not really a family event anymore. At least in my family, it's like there's no invitations. It's like, yes, so and so got married. When was this? Oh, they just went down to the courthouse. She didn't want to collect the child support because she knew that if she pushed on that, he would push on alimony. Yeah, well, I don't know. His personality, the thing is, neither one of them had lawyers. Um, he's not the type of guy that would actually go after alimony because he he can support himself. I understand this. Like, if there were lawyers involved, that's the route that it would have taken. Like, well, if she's going to do this, we're going to go for that. Um, and that was really what they were. I think they were just trying to avoid all of that bull crap. And it's something that, God, when I went through my divorce, it was, for one, like in limbo forever because I didn't know where she was, so I couldn't file papers to have her served. She knew where I was at because she just left the house and the debt and the bills and the car with the car payment. Like, she took the car that was paid off, of course. She just left everything. And so I'm sitting there for like a year waiting for these divorce papers to show up. And then when it finally did happen, and keep in mind, like, this was a situation where she's the one that stopped coming home at night. She's the one who got in touch with the ex-boyfriend from 7 years prior. But then, like, her family, like, I was the son-in-law. Like, her parents loved me. Her siblings, I didn't really care for her sister, and I don't think she cared for me. But, like, once all of that changed, like, the whole family also was like, "No, we're gonna protect her, and if she needs a lawyer, then we're gonna get her a lawyer." And it's like, you don't wanna split $6,000 in credit card debt. You're gonna get a lawyer over $6,000 in credit card debt. Are you serious? So, yeah, that was how it rolled. And her sister, who married somebody wealthy, of course, she was just like, "Well, I'll pay for her lawyer." And it's like, of course you will, because you never liked me and you're a bitch. And yeah, of course you would. This chick would have spent like 20 grand on a lawyer to make sure that I got the full $6,000 of credit card debt. It was insane. Just how everybody changed during that whole situation. It was insane. She left a bunch of stuff at the house that was hers. My ex-wife did, and like 2 years later, I'm like, "Hey, are you gonna come get this or not?" And she was like, "Well, I don't understand what the problem is." I'm like, "Well, for one, I should be charging you like a storage fee because in court you said this is your property. It's still here. I'm not gonna sell it, but I want it out of here." And there was a whole big fight about that too. And it's like, I'm being the nice guy. I'm giving you an opportunity to come get your shit that obviously you either forgot about, don't care, or you're waiting for me to throw it out so that you can like freaking sue me or something. I don't know. But that ended up being a whole ordeal. And it was just, there was no reason for it. Our society has decided to promote that you don't have to be accountable for your choices. No, no, no. Women don't have to. Accountability is like kryptonite to women. That's what I keep saying. And I believe that to be true. Whether it's student loans, unwanted pregnancies, or marriages, these are unhappy, lost people. All right, over a pipe, we're going to have this discussion. Chat, okay? Help me out here. What is happiness? Anybody? I keep hearing this. I'm not happy. I'm not, something needs to change. I'm not in a happy situation. I'm not happy with my life. What is happiness? Is it just nothing bad happens to you? You're cushy because that's usually when people like lose their freaking minds, is when they're too comfortable, right? Too much free time on their hands. They start having these like delusions of grandeur. Happiness. Is it a constant state of awareness of this ecstasy fulfillment? Is it being on ecstasy? Like, I don't know. I don't know what the hell happiness is. A good day for me is just no bullshit has happened. When I actually feel happy playing Mario Kart with my daughter, enjoying a nice sunset. It's these moments of like, you kind of, for me, forget about all your worries and you just kind of take something in as like, wow, that's pretty awesome. And it's not a long lasting sensation. I don't understand this whole like, you deserve to be happy. Should I just go get like a Coney Island chili dog? Because that would make me happy. They're pretty darn good. Do I need a whole lot of happiness? No, because I'd end up fat. A lot of money is a lot of money happiness, because I'm hearing that like anything over 70K, anything beyond what makes you comfortable to where you don't have to worry about your bills or being in debt, where anything beyond that certain point in income is supposed to be like peak happiness. Fulfillment. Chaos creation. Chaos creation is happiness. For women, yes. Yeah, I would totally agree with that. Let's say joyless people then. Yeah, constant state of joy. I've heard that too. Like when you feel joy, it's like when you have Christ in your heart. I remember that stuff from school. It's constant state of joy. Mm, never got that either. No. Yeah. So let's say joyless people. Well, yeah. uh, this whole happiness thing, it irritates the crap out of me. It reminds me of like some type of, that was my alarm. Probably gonna get a strike for that one. Hey, you can't play music on there. So where was I at with happiness? It's got to be like a propaganda program against women to say like, oh, are you just content in your current situation? You should be happy. Do you have a roof over your head? Do you ever go to bed hungry? Do you have clean water? Is it warm where you live in the winter time? Do you feel safe? The weird thing is, most women, most married women who are filing for divorce will answer yes to all of these things, and yet I'm not happy. I'm just not happy in this situation. I'm not I can't remember the last time I was really happy here. Mm. I don't know. There needs to be a campaign of bringing back the club. Like cave women would just, they would kill to be in the situation that modern women are in. They absolutely would. If they had to club another chick in order to get into that situation, clean water, there's plenty of food. It's warm at night. He knows how to make a fire. They'd be all about it. But no, like it's got to be all this other stuff. And the weird thing is, the people who are actually rich, the ones that actually have all the digits in their bank accounts, they either look middle class or they look poor. You know, the guy's driving around like an 89 Chevy pickup truck, right? With rust on the body, but it's paid off and it runs really well and it gets him from point A to point B. And you don't know that dude's got like 1.5 million in his bank account because he never spends any of his money. It's really the situation that my father-in-law was in when he passed away years ago. Because this guy, all he did was he worked 50, 60 hours a week at the factory. He was divorced. He lost like half of everything with that. And then over the span of like 10, 15 years after that point, he just worked, went home, worked, went home. His house was paid off, his car was paid off, everything, and he just kept putting the money away for retirement. And then he ended up dying of cancer, which there was no retirement. And this is a pattern that I have seen with so many people in my life. Like at least a half dozen people I know that I worked with at the hospital for 14 years either died just before retirement or died right after retirement. Like we'd have the party, it's so and so's last day, congratulations, enjoy your retirement. And then somebody walks up to you like 2 weeks later and they're like, hey, did you hear so and so died? What? Were they hit by a bus? No, he got out of his chair. Sometimes it was literally they got out of their chair, had a heart attack, went to shovel snow, had a heart attack. Somebody was diagnosed with cancer. Didn't even die from the cancer, died from the chemo treatment, which after I worked on that floor, after I worked on pulmonary oncology, if I was ever diagnosed with cancer, nope. There's no freaking way. Not going through that. Like what I saw was perfectly healthy people walking in, and then 2-3 weeks later, a body rolling down to the morgue is what I saw. And it was usually like the nicest people you ever met. They come in, they're shaking your hand, they're like, thank you for cleaning my room. Oh my gosh, you guys are so nice around here, and blah, blah, blah. Those were the people that just didn't last. And then like the worst people on earth, the ones that just, dear God, they're like cockroaches. Like there was one guy in particular, I remember this guy, he was young, had leukemia. He just would keep on going, and he was nasty. He was nasty to everybody. I remember him yelling at one of the doctors because the staff caught him sneaking out of the hospital at like 2-3 a.m. His friends would come visit him, and they'd go over to the parking ramp and they'd have like a 24 pack of beer, and they're cracking open beers and smoking special cigarettes, if you will. And then he'd come strolling back in smelling like beer and high as a kite. And the staff told the doctor about it. And the doctor comes in saying, hey, you keep doing this, he's like, you're not going to tell me the thing was, this guy, for being such the jerk that he was 100% correct. I saw him years later. He just kept on going. And it was the damnedest thing. Like I lost such hope in humanity working on that floor, because I was like, I grew up seeing good people getting screwed over. And I was like, okay, this can't be like, this has just got to be like in my circle, right? Because I've always grown up like good people are rewarded, right? Good people, they treat people well, they get treated well. No. Totally wrong. Like that's just not a thing. And then I go to the cancer floor and I'm like, oh, all the good people, they just drop dead. And then the people that you're just like, can they get hit by a bus at some point in time and make the world a better place? Nope. They just keep on chugging along. Boomers who disingenuously ask, do you have a better system in mind? Like it's a checkmate. Regarding what system are you referring to? Like, is this like a capitalism thing? Is it, I don't know. ME, you're going to have, or me, is it me? Yeah. Oh, capitalism? That's what you're referring to? Oh God, wasn't intending on getting on that conversation, but communism is definitely not the way to go. I can tell you that. Socialism, what we currently have in the United States is really a mix of capitalism and socialism. If you don't believe me, then stay out of the national parks, stay out of the public hunting lands, stop using the roads, because all of that is socialism. Um, Capitalism, for the most part, man. Well, after 2009, I was seriously thinking that like we needed something, but obviously they're not willing to change a damn thing because everybody was rewarded for bad behavior. And they really don't feel like the government itself doesn't feel like regulating anything. And why would they when they're doing a bunch of insider trading, profiting off of their meager $200,000 plus sums that they get paid per year, which I love how people describe it as like they're only paid 200,000 a year. And I'm like, what job can you get from a popularity contest that you get 200,000? Like, that's a hell of a lot of money for me. Like, I wouldn't make that in a decade. Mass unemployment, poverty, no leisure time, all work, constant money worry. Oh, constant money worries. And that's their inevitable response to any complaints about it. Well, we're looking at mass unemployment coming up pretty soon. I'm pretty sure I'm going to lose my evening job, which 2 to 3 hours a night. The big thing is the health insurance. That's the big thing with this job. I get full healthcare coverage, working part time. It's the only reason I do it. Trust me, like the checks I get from this place are not going to pay a bill. They act like management there acts like, well, it's what we pay you. And it's like, dude, my wife and kids qualify for Medicaid on the checks that you send home to my house. Like, this is not a bragging thing. Like, if you're gonna threaten me, at least threaten me with the one thing that I actually come here for, which you have no say about because it's in the union contract. So kiss my ass. I would be the most amazing servant for 200,000. Yes, exactly. Over a pipe. Nailed it. But they come out as like what, 7, 8 figures richer? Like, look at Nancy Pelosi. All the insider trading that they do. Why would they regulate Wall Street? Pfizer was the number 2 traded stock in 2020. Why would they regulate that? Why wouldn't they send them a sweet contract for some garbage that doesn't work? Because a bunch of that money is going to come back to them. So, in order to fix the capitalist system, you have to get the money out of Washington. And that's just, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Like, we would see another civil dispute. I don't know if I can say the other term. Like, we would have to have like another situation like that before we would have any serious change. And then they would just pass laws to put it right back to where it was. Hey, brother, greets from the Netherlands? Are you serious? I pay €165 a month for my health insurance. And what is the euro compared to the dollar? Is it still like $1.50 per euro, or is it more equal now? I forget where. I know it kind of fluctuates all over the place, and Brexit didn't exactly help it, but yeah, that could be like $200 here a month for basic health insurance. And you haven't even visited the doctor yet. I don't understand this. And this isn't capitalist. It's something else where basically health insurance is supposed to be a socialist institution as it is. But this whole notion of having a bank in between you and your doctor, it pisses me off. It's like they act like they're not. Well, it's not like I mean, it's your money that gets stashed away for you to use later. No, it goes into the pockets of a bunch of people, and you're lucky to get a little bit back. And when I worked at the hospital, it was like people coming in with Medicare and Medicaid. They'd slap their card on the counter in the ER, And the staff would just kind of roll their eyes because it's like, these people have better health insurance than us, and we work here. And that was the attitude. It was like, I should just go home and be poor because at least I can go to the ER and not get a bill. That was the weird thing. The hospital would sue any employee if you didn't pay your total amount for your bill, your medical bill within 3 months. They immediately took you to court because they knew you had an income source, and it was them. Oh, I pay, what is this? 776 for all Social Security. Social Security. But you are in what, Austria? What is Social Security over there? Is it like US Social Security? I'm curious. Brutal enough. What is Social Security in Austria? Or are you a US citizen who still pays in the Social Security over here? What would happen if healthcare providers posted rates on procedures for insured versus uninsured patients? The only other group I know of that doesn't have to post their prices are the government. They should have to post stuff too. A month? Health and unemployment. Wait, what? Dude, how much are you making? I mean, $776 is like what I get paid every 2 weeks at one of my jobs. I mean, that's insane. But yeah, I do hear that healthcare cost is more overseas because everybody has to pay into it so that everybody else gets covered regardless of whether they have a job or not. But I don't know. We're not going to solve all the world's problems here today on a live feed. That's just not going to happen. But the current American system is definitely a mix of capitalism and socialism. It's also, what's that term? It's feudalist in a way. Um, Oligarchy, definitely an oligarchy. But yeah, I understand why guys are just checking out of the system because I remember having the same thoughts 20 years ago. Why am I working here? Why am I getting paid so little? Why can I barely make my rent? I don't have any money for food. What am I going to do about gas? Oh shit, I got to pay car insurance. Why do I have to pay car insurance in order to have a car? Why does the state get to mandate me to hand over money to a private corporation? They can tax me and have me have my money go into a lump sum where they keep the money in a savings account so that when people actually do need it, it gets pulled out and therefore it's not profited off of by a company. But no, that can't possibly happen. And that's what they did with Social Security too. And it started with the Reagan administration where they were arguing Social Security is illegal. We can't take money out of people's checks unless it's a tax. And this isn't a tax. But we do it and we force them. So then the Supreme Court came back and said, you're right, it's a tax and you can do with it whatever you want. So they would borrow from Social Security. And that started with Reagan, and Clinton borrowed from Social Security, even though he was cutting down the budget. I remember Bush borrowing from Social Security. And it was around the same time he went to the post office. Congress went to the post office and said, hey, you guys have a ton of money. And they're like, we have a ton of employees with pensions. Why are you looking at us? And they're like, we'd like you to pay $8 billion to us every year because of how much money you make. And you wonder why the rural carrier drivers don't get shit for benefits. And they never ended that. The whole point was it would be $8 billion to help fund the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. We're no longer over there. And guess what? The post office is still obligated to pay that amount for no reason whatsoever. I remember people bitching about like, why is a postal worker, they only work like 30 years and then they get this amount of money from their pension plan every month. Like they just get to go on the rest of their life. Like they don't have to worry about money. That was the point of a pension plan. I'm ready to go homestead in Alaska. I don't know about Alaska. That's why I moved to northern Michigan. I'm do I say I'm pretty happy here? I'm definitely more satisfied here in my current situation than I was living in the city. I can definitely say that. The ability to go outside and just roam around on my own property, to go out back and like shoot my gun when I want to and not worry about the cops rolling up. Active shooter. Knowing that if there was ever a situation like the one I had when I was first getting this place ready to go, when I was putting the floor in here that weekend, there's somebody that broke in upstairs right where this light is, right here, that ceiling fan. There's a door on the second floor up there, and somebody knew to put a pry bar in there to open the door to get in. My car was parked outside. The lights were on down here. I was listening to a podcast. All of a sudden, I hear somebody roaming around upstairs, and I'm like, what the? So I get up, I grab my gun, I hear them run out the door. I don't know who it was to this day, but I have a pretty good idea as to who it was. But if that had happened in the city, and if there was a situation where I ended up having to put somebody down, up here, not really have to worry about it. Because the situation up here is like, I could have gotten on the phone and called 911 and it would be 15, 20 minutes before somebody actually gets here. Because we're under the sheriff's department. The sheriff's department is located over in Reed City, which is a nice 20-minute drive. And they cover the whole county. We're on the edge of the county. So, but in Kalamazoo, oh my God. The one time I actually had to like reach in my house and grab a firearm because a group of guys were approaching me on my property while I'm on my porch, threatening bodily harm. Dear God, I didn't hear the end of that for like 3 years. Didn't shoot anyone. I was just standing there holding it. They turned around, walked away. But somebody called the next day and was like, he was doing this, and he was aiming at these people, and he was doing this. Then just like, I don't know why I'm talking to the cops. Like nothing happened. Literally nothing happened. They turned around, went away, end of story. But no, they had a problem with a white boy living by himself, willing to defend himself, and it wasn't their neighborhood, as they like to say. Let's see here. Comments. People just want enough money to have basic living costs, food and shelter under control and not have to enslave themselves to constant work to accomplish that. Thank you. No, that's pretty common. That's what I normally hear. I feel like that's how most guys are living right now. And that's not acceptable to most women. That's where part of the divide is. Like a guy can be content with the basics, whereas women are definitely programmed to desire more. Like, we've had that dishwasher for a while. Does it clean the dishes? Doesn't really match the rest of the appliances in the kitchen. Does it work? It doesn't match the other appliances in the kitchen. Like, the stove is steel, and then we have the one stainless steel fridge, and then we've got this, and then there's the white dishwasher. It doesn't match. And the guy would still say, does it clean the dishes? He doesn't care. He doesn't. He's not going to spend $600-700 on a new dishwasher when it works just fine, just so that it matches the rest of the stuff in the kitchen. I feel you on this one. The countryside is better. I'm also leaving the city since I have a 9-month-old boy. Steel Seeker. Yeah. Yeah. That was another reason. I was not going to have my kids going to Kalamazoo schools. Hell no. And they've got the Kalamazoo Promise and everything, but I promise you this, they graduate from those schools, they're not ready for college. So that was not going to happen. We were just up in Michigan near Detroit to see the Pure Marquette 1225. Two things stuck out to me. The grass was greener than I've ever seen before, and it's illegal to back into a parking spot. Since when? It's illegal to back into a parking spot? That's got to be a Detroit thing. Like, I have never heard that. Basically, I park however I want. Like, it's illegal to back in, even with parallel parking. Like, the only way to parallel park is to back into. Yep, it's a Detroit thing. Of course it is. So how do you parallel park if you can't back in? That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. I backed into a parking spot and was warned, or I would be warned, or I would be towed? You'd be towed for backing in? Wow. Okay. Detroit sucks. There's all these people that are like trying to promote Detroit, and I'm just like, I still don't hear anything good about it. They're doing like all these startup companies and these small businesses, and they're trying to make it look better. And yeah, I have no love for Detroit. I've only been there a few times. Blew my mind. I was like, we were just trying to have breakfast. Gotta ruin breakfast, right? Well, it looks like I'm gonna have to cut this short. I've been on here for over an hour. So, anyways, thanks for stopping by. 13 people. This is insane. 6 likes. I like that. I like you. Hopefully, I would be doing this more often. Obviously, if I get laid off, it could become a regular thing, sort of, if I'm laid off. But I do want to have more live streams. I do want to keep you guys updated on things that are going on, especially with the channel. Still about 75 people away from having ads on the videos, which is another form of revenue. And I do hear you on the whole pipe tobacco reviews and whatnot, and just not willing to pay for seeing it when it's available for free. But that's goals have changed, and if I'm going to keep that up, it's got to be behind some type of paywall. It sucks. That's how YouTube works, but I can't have it out there. Otherwise, they're just going to like take the channel down. So it's the part that sucks. So anyways, have a good couple hours work. Hope you're not walking into a meeting. There's no meetings. They walk into an office, they do this, you go back going, then they're like, and that's pretty much it. It sucks. There's zero communication and everybody's an a-hole. Having said that, hope everyone's going to have a good night and stay employed. Keep on typing.